Before I start this video, here's a quick fact for you about the MCU. Before the MCU began, Marvel wanted to cut ties with the 2000s era of Marvel. But Marvel was going bankrupt and they had to sell their most popular characters, so they had to start from scratch and make Iron Man start the MCU. That's all you need to know, and goodbye. So ever since Avengers Endgame, the MCU went downhill, and when I say downhill, I mean Avengers Endgame was a great movie, but the MCU went downhill after post-Avengers Endgame. There were some good movies about it. The most hated MCU movie that people put in their #1 spot of their top 10 most hated MCU movies is Thor: Love and Thunder. And Deadpool and Wolverine saved the MCU. But I want to do something just for fun. I want Doctor Strange to send me to an alternate reality where Marvel had all of their character rights from the beginning while creating the MCU. So, let's get started. The first product in Phase 1 is called Iron Man. We're going to keep all the casts in the first Iron Man movie, especially Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, because I don't want to change the castings in the first Iron Man movie. The main villain in this movie is still Ironmonger. And yes, everything's the same, everything is perfect, and it's the #1 movie of 2008. Until The Dark Knight. And now it's time to play this post-credit scene on the clip. And please don't copyright me for this one.
Jarvis, welcome Holmes. I am Iron Man. You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
And that was Iron Man. And now it's time for the next movie. The second product in Phase 1 is called Hulk. Not the Incredible Hulk, just Hulk. It could be like the 2003 movie and the 2008 movie of the Hulk movies mixed together. And it'll also follow Bruce Banner as he gets affected by radiation, causing him to become the Incredible Hulk. We will cast Mark Ruffalo to play Bruce Banner because Edward Norton did not return for his role in the Avengers. The main villain in this movie is still the Abomination. And I won't have Stern being jealous because Bruce Banner became a big beast. I'll have Stern, Bruce Banner's blood when he became the Incredible Hulk, make Stern become a Hulk himself called the Abomination. And of course, the Incredible Hulk and the Abomination both fight, and Samuel Stern's now Samuel Stearns again, and he's severely injured. And the movie ends with Bruce Banner and his girlfriend going on a date. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Samuel Stearns is at the hospital getting his injuries healed, but it all went wrong because now he's all green and his brain is huge, renaming himself into the Leader. And it also teases a Hulk sequel. Time for the next movie. So, the MCU didn't make anything in 2009 because the X-Men Fox universe wanted to do a solo movie of their own called X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that movie sucked. So if Marvel never sold their rights, I think there will be something in 2009. So let's see your 2009 products in the MCU. The third product in Phase 1 is called The Amazing Spider-Man. It could be like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie and The Amazing Spider-Man movie mixed together. And just like all Spider-Man movies, Peter Parker gets bit by a spider and Uncle Ben dies and tells him, with great power comes great responsibility. And then he dies. And I'll have Peter Parker's relationship with MJ, because in my opinion, Miles Morales x Gwen Stacy is actually a way better ship in my opinion. And we'll also cast Andrew Garfield to play Spider-Man, because Tobey Maguire put up the suit ever since Spider-Man 3. Also, fun fact, did you know he was going to be in the MCU? The main villain in this movie is Green Goblin. And what I forgot to add was Peter Parker gets bit by a radioactive spider and causes him to have powers, but he doesn't want to have powers, but he gotta get used to it because he's gonna fight a villain. And after Spider-Man and Green Goblin both fight, Green Goblin gets sent to jail, and the movie ends with Peter Parker and MJ going on a date. And that was The Amazing Spider-Man. Post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Peter Parker is in his house chilling. And that's where we meet Nick Fury yet again. "Hey, Pete," says Nick Fury. "Who are you and how'd you know my name?" asks Peter Parker. "I'm here to make you join a team," says Nick Fury. "What kind of team?" asks Peter Parker. "Take your suit with you and we'll find out," says Nick Fury. And now it's time for the next movie. The fourth product in Phase 1 is called Ant-Man. So if you didn't know, the first Ant-Man movie was going to be released in Phase 1 so Ant-Man can join the Avengers. But the movie kept getting delayed. And Edgar Wright was going to direct the film, but when it was finally released, he just left the film. And it will still be like the 2015 movie, but I'll have a few Edgar Wright visions when Edgar Wright was going to direct the film. For a little while, Hank Pym will be the Ant-Man for a while, but then he retires, and then he bails someone out of jail so he can give it to Scott Lang, so he can become the next Ant-Man. The main villain in this movie is Egghead. And Ant-Man and Egghead both fight, and Ant-Man explodes the lab, causing Egghead to die. And the movie ends with Hank Pym and Scott Lang moving to New York City. And that was Ant-Man. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Scott Lang is at a restaurant hanging out by himself for a while. And that's where we meet Hope for the first time. "Hey, do you know Hank Pym?" she asks. "Yeah, why?" asks Scott Lang. "Put your suit on and I'll put my suit on. We have a big mission ahead of us," says Hope. And that was Ant-Man. And now it's time for the next movie. The fifth product in Phase 1 is called Thor. And we're only going to add one movie in 2010 because Iron Man 2 was supposed to come out after the Avengers. Everything will be the same, but everything will be a tiny bit different. Yes, Hawkeye won't be in the movie. I'm sorry. And also, the main villain in this movie is still Loki. And Thor and Loki fight, and Loki does not die but gets sent to prison. And that was Thor. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Loki is getting ready for his next attack in planet Earth, teasing an ultimate crossover event. And now it's time for the next movie. The sixth product in Phase 1 is called Captain America. Not Captain America the First Avenger, not Captain America the Beginning, not Captain America World at War, just Captain America. And if you see Captain America the First Avenger title on there, just ignore the title and pretend it's not there at all. And yes, everything is the same, nothing to fix or anything. And yes, as you see in this poster, the main villain in this movie is the Red Skull. And yes, Captain America is frozen in ice while the Red Skull dies. And now he's in the present, and everything is a lot different because he was frozen during World War II. And that's where Nick Fury comes in, telling him that he's going to be joining a team. And that was Captain America, and there's no post-credit scene because that sets him up for the crossover event. So now you're going to see what it is. The seventh product in Phase 1 is called The Avengers. Everything will be like the 2012 Avengers movie, except you don't get Black Widow and Hawkeye, but you get Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and the Wasp. After Spider-Man is done with his meeting with Nick Fury, he meets the Incredible Hulk for the first time, and they both start fighting. And yes, instead of Thor and the Incredible Hulk fighting, Spider-Man will fight the Incredible Hulk. And the main villain in this movie would yet again be Loki, and he'll still be the main villain in the 2012 Avengers movie. Oh, and I almost forgot. Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America will meet each other for the first time and start fighting for a while, but they realize they have to team up to stop Loki. And just like that, the Avengers defeated Loki, and Thor sends him back to his prison so he won't escape this time. And the Avengers go to separate ways for a little while, but they will need each other just in case there's another big threat coming, to destroy the world. And that was the Avengers. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, an alien-like human is sitting on a throne watching footage of the Avengers defeating villains. Ha ha ha. I will take the Avengers out, one step at a time. For I am Kang, the Conqueror. And that was the Avengers. And now it's time for the next movie. Yes, there's 3 movies to go, so let's see your 3 movies that come out after the Avengers. The 8th product in Phase 1 is called Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. Everything is like the 2021 movie, but I want to change one thing about the movie. I won't have the Mandarin being killed off in the movie because I want to save him for the next movie after Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. Oh, and also, the Abomination won't be in the movie. And so just like that, the Mandarin gets captured and everyone has a celebration. And that was Shang-Chi and Legends of the Ten Rings. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, the Mandarin is getting ready for his revenge on Shang-Chi and planning on his next attack one day. And now it's time for the second post-credit scene. In this post-credit scene, Tony Stark is working on a suit for someone. And that's when Pepper Potts, Tony Stark's girlfriend, comes in and asks, "Tony, what you doing?" "Just working on something," says Tony Stark. "Who's it for?" asks Pepper Potts. "It's for a friend of mine," Tony Stark replies. "Can you show me it?" she asks. Tony Stark shows Pepper Potts an unfinished War Machine suit, teasing a second Iron Man movie. And that was Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. And now it's time for the next movie. The 9th product in Phase 1 is called X-Men. We're not going to do any fan casting for the X-Men because I don't know who to fan cast for the X-Men. So let me know in the comments down below, who would you cast for the X-Men? It could be like X-Men First Class, but I want to change a little bit of something in X-Men First Class. The line for the X-Men would be Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Beast, and Iceman. And yes, Charles Xavier and Magneto are also in it. The main villain in this movie is Omega Red. And while the X-Men are fighting Omega Red paralyzes Charles Xavier and now doesn't have the ability to walk anymore unless he's wearing something that could make him walk. And the X-Men capture Omega Red, and Omega Red is arrested. And the movie ends with the X-Men getting comic-accurate suits. Yes, the X-Men get comic-accurate suits in one of the X-Men movies. And that was X-Men. And now it's time for the 2 post-credit scenes yet again. In the post-credit scene, Magneto is planning on betraying the X-Men, so he forms his own mutants of his own. And that's where we meet Mystique for the first time. "Hello, Mystique," says Magneto. And now it's time for the next post-credit scene. In this post-credit scene, Omega Red is planning his escape so he can attack his next mutant. And that was X-Men. And now it's time for the last product. The final product in Phase 1 is called Iron Man 2. And it could be kind of like the second Iron Man movie, but everything will be a little bit different. Shang-Chi will be in it, and the main villain in this movie would be the Mandarin. And Iron Man and War Machine will still fight in Iron Man 2. Also, the Mandarin will plan his escape and plan on to attack Earth and plans on reassembling his minions so he can attack Earth. Shang-Chi will meet Iron Man for the first time. The trio will fight the Mandarin, and the Mandarin's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and Iron Man kills the Mandarin, and the Mandarin's no longer a problem anymore, and Shang-Chi will want to join the Avengers one day, same with War Machine. And the movie ends with Tony Stark going to get some beer. And that was Iron Man 2. And there's no post-credit scene. So, that was What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights, Phase 1. I had a lot of fun doing it. I saw some videos on What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights, especially Black Lion. He knows how to do his cinematic universe, and a lot of people do, but it's mostly Black Lion. And yes, I will release Phase 2 next week, just like I did with my anime cinematic universe and my better structured DCEU. That's it for this video. Peace.